Welcome back to the Will and Willie Show. I'm Paul Wells with Will Durst and Willie Brown. And we're brought to you also by the California Alliance for Jobs and Rebuild California.
Rebuild California.
Yes, got to rebuild California. There's a lot of new asphalt out there, I've noticed.
Summer.
Around the Bay Area.
Summer. Yeah.
And a whole lot of cranes. You remember a few years ago when I said, when somebody said, "What's the San Francisco bird?" I said the crane.
Yeah. The construction crane.
That's exactly right. That's when we were really.
Yeah, the last time when you were mayor. Those were the good old days. Actually, I don't remember the days.
They seem to be better.
I slept through most of the days.
Yeah, the further we got away from them.
Yeah. That hazy Vaseline-covered filter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's how we see the 60s and even the 70s, and now the 80s will have their turn as being a great time.
No.
You don't think that?
No, not the 80s.
With Paul Ryan as the vice presidential candidate.
He's 41.
He's 41.
No, he's 42.
42?
Yeah, he's 42.
42.
Yeah, let's keep him.
So he came of age during the Reagan years. And apparently a lot of his thinking comes from the trickle-down ideas. Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged.
He was actually, he was actually forced because she was his acolyte. He discovered her after his dad died. He found his dad dead of a heart attack at 55. And he was coming home from his job at McDonald's, which seems a bit suspicious to me. I mean, they were millionaires, so unless they were making the kid work, I don't know.
He owned
Midwestern, it. Yeah, he owned it. Yeah, his dad owned it. But then that's when he decided to become a workout guy, and he discovered the right-wing teachings. But now he's been forced to denounce his objectivism hero, because if you read Ayn Rand, she rejects all religion, all faiths and all religion. And, some of his Tea Party people, I mean, you can't have just God and you can't just have flag and freedom. You got to have God, flag, and freedom. So he denounced Ayn Rand because she didn't believe in Jesus. And you can have one or the other, Ayn Rand or Jesus. It's kind of like Wham. You have to choose either Andrew Ridgeley or George Michael.
And you understand that not only will he have to explain away that admiration as he had previously expressed it, but on many other votes that he has cast while serving as a congressman have been inconsistent.
Mr. Small Government.
That is right, have been totally inconsistent with his present posturing. For an example, according to the records, it's clear that he was a rah-rah for the stimulus package. He wanted that because the state which he came from were a beneficiary of that. And on the
he wrote 4 letters to the Secretary of Energy after he denounced, I really don't like the stimulus package. And then he writes 4 letters to the Secretary of Energy for projects in Janesville.
Well, for him to get those projects. And then he also was, very, very focused on the idea that the financial world should be bailed out. They were too big to fail. And when TARP came along, he wanted to make sure, because that's his natural proclivity. Well, all of a sudden, he has got to explain away those respective votes because they're totally inconsistent with his posturing now. Almost everything George Bush recommended that became a part of the foundation of the downturn before Obama became the president. In 2008, when Obama inherited the presidency, he inherited the mess that Bush had made, which Ryan had substantially contributed to. All of a sudden, he's going to have to start trying to explain that. And, some politicians can explain. They simply say, situational answers. But he has cast votes that are inconsistent.
That's right. That's why it's always tough picking a congressman or picking a senator. That's why governors, because congressmen and senators have a record. There's none of this, like most of our judges now have absolutely no past whatsoever. They got no track record. Well, that's the problem with getting a congressman is they have all these votes that they came in on.
And at the time that they cast those votes, they were not thinking of anything except their district, except their small constituency. And if they became a part of a caucus movement in the Congress, many times the national election will be about the content of that caucus movement, not just about the individual who happens to be the congressman. So Ryan has become a symbol of something
And will
that
be.
is awful,
And will
something that Romney even has to distance himself from. And it may get even worse if we find out this guy and Aiken have been sleeping together. It's really going to be
And then
interesting.
trying to walk across
So
the
to
Sea of
speak.
Galilee nude.
And the
Doing all that
Medicare thing, because
Yes,
he
vouchers.
replaces Medicare with coupons, healthcare coupons, because old people love coupons. I got a coupon, 5 more, I can call the anesthesiologist. Only 3 for Kaiser.
And do you realize, well, the way he's trying to finesse that, he's trying to say, well, I didn't want it to apply to anybody who's currently
55, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lousy deal for 55 and older, but for the kids. It's for the kids. You're right, I got to put the coffee down.
So he really is going to have to explain himself, and trying to explain yourself when you have an extensive record, when you have YouTube, when you have Politico, when you have a whole series of folk waiting for you to be inconsistent with your position from yesterday.
It's a whole new ballgame.
Can you see what they would have?
Anybody
would have done to me?
Oh my God!
Oh,
my
Lord
God!
have
There would
mercy.
have been cameras at that party.
Yeah. A party which I said I was not in attendance at.
That's right.
Aren't you lucky there wasn't a YouTube back then? I mean, every moment he spent for Ayn Rand, his on camera, he went on and on. Paul Ryan went on and on. Mitt Romney had his own version of, quote, Obamacare, close quote, as governor of Massachusetts. And so it's hard for him to really distance himself. What I'm worried about is, do you want a president who would strap his dog to the roof of a car when he goes on vacation?
He liked it.
Except
That's what
when
he
he said
said.
he didn't
He
know.
The
liked
dog
it.
got sick and did go
No,
to the vet.
Yeah, but he said he didn't realize.
No.
there.
He said he liked it. That's what he said. The dog liked it. And they didn't discover that the dog didn't like it until there was an effluvium, a massive fluvium going down the back window. And the kid said, and it was brownish. And the kid said, Dad. And what he did was he stopped at a gas station and got a hose and hosed off the stuff, the effluvium, the accumulated effluvium, and the dog. He hosed off the dog. Didn't take it out of the thing, just hosed it out of the thing. Yeah, that's our possible governor.
And what we don't know about is maybe he had the horse on it at one time.
Yeah, Rapelka.
Yeah.
Rapelka was strapped to the
Oh, my
fuselage
God.
of a 747. I did that joke earlier.
So do we expect any surprises in Tampa on Monday at the Republican convention, the following Monday at the Democratic convention in Charlotte, North Carolina?
I think one of the surprises is going to be in Condoleezza Rice's speech. She is definitely going to reference the achievement of becoming a member.
Of Augusta National.
Absolutely.
Two women are in.
No, she is going to talk about her membership.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's going to
wonderful.
speak.
Her membership is kind of a 2-0 because remember, they don't have a whole lot of people who look like me.
This is
my color.
that is true.
You mean short? You mean that well
No,
dressed?
well dressed.
Yeah. I think.
That blue blazer, that green blazer. Oh,
Yeah.
it is the worst
my
color
God.
in the world. But you never see anybody walk around town in one of those colored blazers.
I think the major surprise that you're going to see at the Republican convention is when they pan the audience, because on stage it'll be, as Willie Brown earlier said, it'll be diversity, it'll be Chinese acrobats, and it'll be gospel singers, and it'll be all sorts of any kind of stereotype. And then you look in the audience, and it's all white, except for one black guy, and
The driver.
he's the driver. And they'll film him from different angles, and they'll put different hats on him, pretend that he's a different guy. I think that's what you'll see.
And I'm sure they're going to use lots of the footage from the Olympics, too. They're not going to let that get away without
No Olympics.
showing pride. They're really going to show. Probably without permission, they're going to roll through the number of Americans that won gold medals, and they're going to talk. It'll be great. It'll be good the way they.
That was my favorite part, when Romney went over to England and ticked off the entire country. England, that's not one of the tough ones. And then the Prime Minister, David Cameron, said, well, we're a world-class city. These aren't the Olympics in the middle of nowhere.
But how about the fact that the Olympics came off in London as well as any Olympics have ever. There was not one incident. There was not any indication of hostility, not one incident of tension, not one incident of any kind of a threat. And if it was so done so neatly and so cleanly that we never even saw it. And here he is saying they don't know how to run the Olympics. How embarrassing.
But all he said was what they had been saying in their papers. It's just, you know, family. I mean, you get to call your father a lovable loser, but cousin's not someone.
No. We have another segment. We're going to do a segment that's going to be viewed on the internet, on YouTube only, at the willandwillie.com YouTube channel. With all of our other archive shows.
I didn't even know there was a willandwillie.com YouTube channel.
Well, and now you know.
Now I know. Now they know.
Now everybody knows.
How soon will it become an app?
The I Will and Willie.
We'll be back here on TV 20 and also on KKSF News Talk 910 and KNEW 960 right before the election in November. And I want to thank everyone for watching and or listening to the Will and Willie Show. I'm Paul Wells.
I'm Will Durr.
And I'm Willie the Brown.
The Brown?
The Brown.
The Brown? No. Well, then I
should point to that and say,